Call this meeting to order at 6:01 by that clock. Let me get that microphone down near me. Meeting in order 6:01. So we don't need to appoint any alternates. We got a good full house going here.
Mr. Chairman, you could appoint either Bill or Lee to fill in for Bob Regan.
Oh, that's right. We can do that for now. That's right. So
He has seniority.
he has seniority. Bill? Sure. Okay. So Bill will be the alternate for Bob Regan.
So we have to vote on that?
You do not?
No.
You don't have to vote on that.
But the first item that we have up is since Bob Regan has stepped down, we need to elect a new vice chair for the remainder of this year. So I'll entertain volunteers, nominations.
I'll nominate Roger, since he was a preceding chairman.
Second that.
Okay. Anybody else interested? Boy,
Should
everybody
the
jumping
train
over the
should
table for
train
this.
Whistle first.
All right. So can we get a vote going on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Sounds good. Welcome, Roger.
And they've done that.
Your enthusiasm is overwhelming.
I've never been vice chair.
All right, so first on the, first up is design review case P 2133, Scott Lawler.
Point of it. We should accept the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Make a motion, we,
First of all, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, thank
Why don't
you.
we hear
Thank you.
those?
Yeah.
well, I was just gonna say that and then
Sure you
she
don't
can
want
do
vice chair?
it. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so the changes that took place after the agenda was originally posted, they're under other business. Old business B is a follow-up on the building space needs discussion. C is a master plan update. D is to include a memo from myself regarding a letter that was submitted from Belinda McLean. E, I'm going to add on, after reviewing the December minutes, I realized this is an addition to what's not already written on here.
Yep.
The board needs to vote on the planning and zoning consultant warrant article. There was a motion and a second, but no vote. So if you
Okay.
guys can just clear that up. And also the board to make a motion on the Lakes Region Planning Commission warrant article. It was sort of the board on a whole, and Scott, you had seconded and voted, but no one officially made the motion.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it's just to
How did I
clean
do
that, just to clean that up.
Those are E and F.
Yeah, I kind of listed it under one thing.
So E would be meeting minutes corrections,
Yeah.
those two.
That sounds
Housekeeping,
fine.
I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For both.
On page 2, under 3, correspondence for the board's review, discussion, action. B indicates that there was a memo dated January 13th, 2022. But instead of a memo, I prepared an official plan of review instead of the memo. That's all. And C is an addition. It's a discussion on amending subdivision approval regarding John Jedry's, the Ridgewood subdivision. And D is to review an application from Belinda McLean for a planning board alternate. That's it.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended that Jessica just stated.
I'll second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Good. All right. All right. I apologize, Scott.
That's good.
So case P 2133, map 2, lot 12. This is design review, major site plan. This is the contractor's yard. Landscaping business, self-storage facility.
Before we start here, just so I, now, they were here last month and we could look at this, but we couldn't look at that. Now they're here this month and we can look at that, but we can't look at this.
No, we can look at both now.
Look at both now,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they've now had their ZBA hearing and
'Cause that's- I
Looks
thought-
like that went well.
I'm guessing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the planning board, Scott Law from Norway Plains, representing Piper Doobie LLC for a proposed contractor storage yard and self-storage facility. With me tonight are the Doobies. Keith Doobie is owner of the business. As the chair has indicated, we were here last month under design review and we had an open discussion in regards to the self-storage facility. And because the special exception was pending with the zoning board of adjustments for the contractor storage yard, we sort of just talked briefly about it, but now that the Doobies have obtained a special exception from the zoning board of adjustments on January 6th, we'd like to bring forth that component of the site plan application. Just to remind the members of the board and the public, this is tax map 2, lot 12. It's located at 800 Suncook Valley Road / Routes 28. It's 3.3 acres. It's located in the rural zoning district. The lot was purchased by the Doobies in 2020. A garage with an apartment was constructed. And this garage and apartments are serviced by on-site well and a septic system. There's a gravel driveway and paved area that they're currently using for their storage of their vehicles associated with the landscaping business. We had the wetlands delineated on the property by Stony Ridge Environment this past late summer, early fall. The land generally slopes from south to north. To the rear of the property is the snowmobile trail that sort of cuts along the back property line. The Doobies or Piper Doobie LLC is requesting approval for a contractor storage yard. This contractor storage yard is consistent with their existing landscaping business. The landscaping business has about 5 employees. The Doobies currently reside on the property, on the premise. We have depicted on the updated plans, a small parking area for them to, for their employees, as well as the small equipment that they have on site. Generally, it's just mini excavator, skid steers, those type of things. Majority of the larger equipment is actively on job sites. Hours of the contractor storage yard will be from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. However, during the winter months, during snow emergencies, snow storage, winter snow storms and winter storms, they will be probably operating out of there on a 24/7 basis, just to come in, get the snow plows hooked up to the rigs, mobilize and head out and do their routes for clearing snow. After talking with the board last month, we've updated the plans, which is depicted on the board behind you. And I do have some smaller versions of the updated plans. If the chair would like, I can pass those around. Might help.
Well, I believe that's what you've submitted.
Yeah, they already have the updated
Okay,
copies.
thank
Yep,
you.
so yeah,
Thank
we
you.
should be good. Thank you.
Okay. So after we open discussion last month on how to sort of create a separation from the self-storage buildings and the contractor storage yard, we've modified the plans to show a row of tall junipers with some stone, like a stone bed, and that'll create kind of a access aisle that loops around the perimeter of the gravel that goes out to the self-storage buildings and sort of keeps the contractor storage yard confined into a smaller area.
Excuse me from it, Mr. Chairman. I think at this, we ought to discern if the application is complete.
I think, aren't we here for design
Yes,
review?
we're
only?
at-
So design
Yep.
review?
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Ooh, okay.
So we've sort of created that after discussion with the board. It was sort of a way of sort of keeping the two businesses separate and also help restrict access to the self-storage facility. So to restrict the access to the self-storage, the Piper Doobie is going to install a rolling gate at the beginning of the sort of row of junipers and sort of access aisle. And that rolling gate with a key pad will restrict the hours of operation to the self-storage facility to the hours of 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., which will help reduce the traffic out back in the self-storage area after hours of when normal people should be going to their self-storage facility. Recap, or sort of going along with plan modifications from when we discussed the self-storage buildings, we have added some additional landscaping on top of the junipers. We've also added a row of evergreens to be installed at the end of the self-storage building, sort of parallel the back property line and the snowmobile trail. And that will help eliminate the headlight glare and noise and help restrict some of the noise towards the abutters on the north side of the property line. The applicant has spoken and had a great meeting with the abutter to the rear and showed him these plans, and it's my understanding he found those acceptable to help screen the proposed development to his property in the rear. We've also added some additional trees along the westerly property line at the back of the long self-storage building, just to help sort of break up the facade of the long building as it's on there. So between the row of trees along the back of the building, row of trees that separates the end of the buildings, as well as adding the landscaping junipers to sort of break up the self-storage and the contractor storage yard. Those were generally the differences to the plans. We made some slight modifications to the stormwater management system just to address the comments by the town engineers. We've submitted those through the planning department, and we've received a letter back from the planning department from the town engineer that he's reviewed and has no further comments on the stormwater management system. Stormwater management system consists of sheet flow from the gravel areas towards the a sediment forebay, and then the water from the sediment forebay will flow into a pocket pond, which will provide attenuation and provide treatment for the stormwater before leaving the site at a equal or less than pre-development flow rates. Lastly, for the recommendation of the chair, we did we will add a note to the lighting plan to reduce the light fixtures to a 300K color. 3,000, excuse me, 3,000 or less. Again, we've changed the hours of operation of the self-storage to 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. This project will require NHDOT approval. An application will be submitted this week for that. There are no other state permits necessary. That is a general overview combined with the overview that we had a month ago. And at this point, myself or Mr. Piper would gladly answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the board have any comments or questions?
I think he covered everything that we talked about.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. You have a waiver request for landscaping plan, but you seem to have.
Done it.
The waiver request was that we listed on the, was before we had the last meeting. So when we submit for the major site plan application in a week, we'll no longer be requesting that waiver for landscaping.
Okay, and you're familiar with the rules and regs for the landscaping, so that you make sure that you address all of those little details that we have in our.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Great. What are the materials that are going to be used and stored here in the contractor's yard? I'm sorry.
Probably sand and salt, I would guess.
Keith Doobie.
Hi.
Yeah, the only thing I stockpile there is sand salt. We put it in we're in a concrete bin with a Quonset hut over it. And we store about 20 yards maximum at a time. Sometimes it's a lower, sometimes more, depending on yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than that, we don't stockpile anything there. I might have a yard of something here or there left over or whatever and use it for my own supplies or whatever, but.
And I think that there was, Jessica had noted that there was a conflict between the hours of operation on your ZBA
Yes.
narrative versus this.
Correct. There was a breakdown of communication between myself and Mr. Dewey, but when we submit the formal application, they'll be consistent with the zoning board of adjustment, which was 8 AM to 5 PM for the contractor storage yard. And we've now revised the hours of operation for the self-storage facility from 6 AM to 9 PM. And those will be noted on the final plans.
All right. Any other thoughts or comments from the board?
I just have one comment.
Yeah.
To Mr. Doobie. So it was nice at the last meeting, when the abutter came up and had some concerns, with the extra light and not having enough, buffer in the back. And I just wanted to say, I thought it was nice that you sat down with him and had a meeting with him and kind of worked things out. And, that's kind of how things should go, to be able to discuss things with your neighbor and be able to work things out. And I'm glad that you
Federal government.
guys
ought
came
try it.
to a mutual agreement to, fix things.
Yeah, we enjoyed our conversation we had with them and hopefully we'll be getting together for a block party next summer.
There was just, Mr. Chairman, there was a note in Jessica's review here that part of the drainage study and report, there was a stormwater inspection and maintenance manual. And just trying to figure out how to make sure that any future property owners would know that they were obligated to keep that stormwater system
Yes.
working. So
So I don't know if maybe a note should be added to the plan.
We-
Um,
We can add a note to the plan. We have prepared the stormwater maintenance manual and usually we have the applicant sign it when we give him a copy of it, so he's aware of it as well.
Yeah, because the plan will be recorded, correct?
It's
no,
a
it's a
site
site
plan.
plan,
They
so
don't get, no, they don't get recorded. So it's important to
some-
note it.
Well, this isn't for edification tonight,
Yeah.
but we ought to figure something like that out because that's a very good point of down the line. I know put it in the property file that we have here would be step number one, but
Right.
something that not all people, when they buy a property, comes to the building inspector's office and wants to flip through the file,
Correct.
so.
Okay.
I think that was the only other thing that needed to be pointed out. So.
Okay.
And I'll guess on the Aquifer Protection District, this is not in the Aquifer Overlay District, pretty obviously. But there was a note added to the plan, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Anything been figured out with the snowmobile trail?
If you actually walk out onto the snowmobile trail and about where the location of the tree is gonna go, there's still enough room on what's left of my property to just kind of carve out a couple more trees and they'd be able to go around that area without a problem. Still be able to get a groomer through there and stuff.
Access view would be nice
We haven't snowmobiled for a while.
as we get older, right?
Yeah,
That's it.
All right.
Everybody keeps saying that. Am I supposed to give it up?
Well, I go to the Caribbean, so you stay
years,
here and have a
Raj.
nice time.
Couple more years.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Looks good.
Members of the board, we'll see you next.
Nice job.
All right.
Okay. And Scott, you're aware you got to come back for a final application?
Yes.
Okay, just
Next
double checking.
Tuesday.
Yep.
One question, Jessica,
Yeah.
do you need a butter notification or continuation of this meeting?
No,
Serves-
it's a new
new
application.
application.
It's a new
Yep.
butter-
So a butter information,
Great.
fees and things like that.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay.
All right. So next on the agenda, is case P 2135, completeness review of application and public hearing if it is accepted as complete. This is for a lot line adjustment on Big Barn Door Island. So we have
There's some waivers in this, I think.
okay. So we have 3 waiver requests. Board have any thoughts on the waivers?
I think they're reasonable.
Yeah, I do, and like the big wetlands out in front, so.
All in favor, bite.
Fine them up. Like a motion. Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the waivers, section 7, F, period 7, period, small g, in the same delineation H as well as I. So that will be 3 of them.
Second.
Yeah. Seconded by Virgil. Okay. Any further discussion from the board?
The only thing I'd say is that there's a little bit more to it that, we have 2 ways we can do it. There's 2 reasons that you give, either it's an unnecessary hardship or, let's see. Yeah, no, I would think it's the first one. In accordance with A, the standard language of A.
In other words, that strict conformity with those regulations would pose an unnecessary hardship to the applicant, and the waiver would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations.
Right.
I agree with that. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so take a look at it for completeness.
Looks like there's a number of little nit things in there. I didn't see any. If I'm correct, Jessica, is not a major that they can't fix.
Hi,
Hi.
good evening, Brad. The only question I had was in regards to whether there was a mortgage or not on either property, because the checklist was left blank, so I wasn't sure.
Yes, so once again, I'm Brad Jones with Jones Beach Engineers and here to represent the 2 property owners, and they've actually been working on the letter from the bank. This always seems to be an issue, trying to get a bank to write a letter. I think in the last job I did, they ended up refinancing with a new bank in order to get that letter.
Mm.
One of the things I have found is that they like to say, well, once it's approved, we'll, or even conditionally approved, then we'll write the letter. But I mean, that both owners are working on it and it is a process and they have not got the letter yet, but I'm confident they will. But I think it'd be helpful if, we got, even if it was conditionally approved with the letters, I think that helps the bank
Well,
kick in the
I
butt,
think
if you will.
One thing too here, where we're taking what, 3 lots and making 2, right?
True.
Yes,
So we are not taking away from the bank's position, we're adding to it.
Hmm.
So that,
yeah,
you know,
that's true on, because there are 3 separate lots. So-
Right.
So it's increasing the size of the 2 lots.
right, so.
And I assume that one of, or 2 of these lots are owned by a single owner.
That's right. Dean Settler owns 2 lots, so one of his lots will become a little smaller.
So that one will need the
So
bank.
that's probably the more
That's more.
concerning with the bank, and obviously they still have to go through the deed process and rewrite the deeds for the new layout. So
It's likely to require an appraisal too and things of that nature.
Yep.
Okay, so since,
Got a mortgage, it's been there forever.
since supplying a letter from the mortgage company is part of completeness, I think you guys should vote on that, make a motion and either approve that to be pushed off to become,
I think
a
that
condition of
makes sense.
approval.
Because by the sounds of what you've all experienced, we may be tying the noose before we can
Right,
get to tie the noose, if you know what I mean.
As Jessica says, if we make it a condition of
Yeah.
approval,
yeah.
it's still
Mr. Chairman, I'll
holds
move
it, yeah.
to have the bank letters moved as applied to with the conditional approval if one is so obtained.
Okay, I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I would like to push back the, for lack of a better term, the bank letter as part of this progress, to let it come in under the auspice of it's lost my
Like a
train.
condition
Condition-
subsequent?
part of the conditional approval.
Okay.
So it's not taking it away, it's just pushing it to the back of the pile. So if they get a conditional approval, they can attend to it. And I think we probably ought to look at that as the whole thing too, because this problem will arise again.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Virgil.
Just a clarification, this, by doing this, then this would make this application complete. Is that correct?
That would
Yes.
be correct.
yeah,
That is-
yes, because that's part
Okay,
of.
just want to
completeness.
clarify.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and understand we're not waiving the requirement.
Right.
It's just pushing it,
Yeah.
kicking that can down the road a little bit in order to be able to move things along. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second clarification. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman, I will move that on case P 21-35, lot mergers on Barn Door Island, be deemed complete. The application will be deemed.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? None, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay,
Right?
I'm ready for you now.
All right. Yeah, so Big Barn Door Island, we've got 3 separate lots. And the 2 owners got together and wanted to kind of split the lots and make this into 2 lots. So it's going to eliminate the center piece of property and then increase the size of the remaining lots. So they're going to be almost 1.5 acres in size. Right now, they're like 0.9 to 0.8 acres in size, the 3 lots. And I do have a plan and I did color it up there. You're going to see 2 green lots that's owned by Dean Settler. And those are 2 0.9 acre lots. And you can see his homestead's in yellow. And see the little squiggly lines? That's my best artwork to get you. Look, that's where the lake is. That's on the east side of Barn Door Island. And then if you look at the lot in orange, and you can see the yellow house in there. That is owned by Ray DeZenzo, and he has a 0.8 acre lot that's going to be increased as part of this lot line adjustment. We did do a complete boundary survey of the property, and I've walked the entire site. I really didn't see any kind of wetlands on the site, so I'd say there's no visible wetlands. So I wanted to make sure I know you looked at those waivers. The other thing is, it's not like a lot of the property or like Rattlesnake Island or anything like that. Barn Door is a fairly flat land. It's less than 25%. So the only reason, one reason we asked for a waiver was so we didn't have to completely topo and get a wetland scientist and do all that. But I will let you know there's nothing visible. There's any kind of issue as far as that goes. So I would say most of that land's buildable. One of the features of the land is a 50-foot right of way in the back, and that is an access trail that goes around the island.
Fire road, right?
And it has a fire road, and then you also have a power line that feeds all the properties, and power company can get out there and do their thing if there's down power lines. There's after the laws are adjusted, they'll actually meet the Lakeshore residential zoning. They'll be over 30,000 square feet in size. They'll both have 150 feet of lake frontage, which they do not now. So they'll meet the current requirements. They met the requirements back when, but they'll meet the current requirements now. Part of our lot line adjustment, we're not planning any kind of building or expansion of the homes at this point. So this is strictly just kind of conform these lots and make these layout a lot better. So that's green lot would be Dean's lot, and this is
No break.
Told you you should have been vice chair.
Mr. Chairman, on case P 21-35, I will move to approve the plan as presented with subsequent conditions and conditions precedent in effect.
We have motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Virgil. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right,
thank you for your time.
thank you.
Take care, Brad.
Okay, so next is case P 2101. This is another lot line adjustment, Hamwoods Road. We have Norway Plains here for 2201.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The new year.
Wow.
That was me for a second.
No, you're usually safe. It's probably me screwing it up.
For crying out loud.
I have the shorter commute.
Okay.
Not even 500 feet down the road.
So we have waivers, yes.
There are some, Mr. Chairman, there are some waivers, but if I can just make a comment before you guys review the waivers. So initially, when this application was submitted, and I reviewed the abutters list, I had noticed that Cynthia Balsius and Jill Royer's names were not on the list as abutters. And then when I discussed it with Steve, we came to the conclusion that the tax map that's currently on the town's website did not get updated last year. So it didn't reflect a change that took place when they came in and did a subdivision. So I reached out to Cynthia and Jill and asked them if they were okay with not receiving a notice in a timely fashion. Sent them all the information, we discussed things back and forth, and they were okay with not being on notified in
You have
time.
that documented?
Yes,
Okay,
yep.
great.
And as long as their names are updated on the final plan, they were okay with moving forward. Otherwise, they would have objected. So I just wanted to just clarify that.
Final plan is actually on the board. I
Perfect.
revised it per all your comments
Okay,
and waiver.
all
letter.
right, yep. Okay. You guys can look at the
Okay.
waivers, sorry.
All right. So we have three waiver requests, section 7F7G jurisdictional wetlands, 7F7H. There's the slopes in excess of 25%, and I, the minimum contiguous upland area for each lot. Slopes in excess of 25%.
Can we just confirm with the agent that those are the three waivers? Because they weren't clarified in the project narrative, just for the record.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like the letter that should have gone in?
Yes, please.
I almost thought I opened up the wrong thing. It's all the same ones.
Okay, so does the board have any thoughts on these waivers?
No problem with it.
Well, they make the point that both lots are developed.
Right.
And they're just moving the lot line over, making them about roughly the same size. If they were to come in later and try to subdivide the lots, then you'd see all that stuff.
Right, exactly. Mr. Chairman, I will move to approve the waivers, section 7, F period, 7 period, G period, as well as the same prefix with H and as well as I.
Yep, they're the same.
Yep.
Second.
And seconded by Virgil. All right.
Before you vote, can you choose whether it's A or B for granting the waivers?
Okay.
The
No,
way
B, because that's a lot line one.
I'm confused.
Page 2 of the plan review, down at the bottom.
Yeah, you got to give a reason.
The reason for granting the waivers.
Oh,
So A or B,
I think it's
Oh, it'd be the same. as the
relative to
last one.
subdivision.
last one, yeah.
It would be A. in
A,
this-
yeah.
Same
in
as the
this
last
case.
one, eh?
Yeah.
yeah. So granting in strict conformity with the regulations would pose an unnecessary hardship to the applicant, and the waiver would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations.
I don't know if the word hardship needs to be there. It doesn't make any sense. Just saying.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Second, excuse me, opposed? Sorry. I'm off onto a different tangent
Lost me on
already.
that one.
Yeah, see if you paid attention, Virgil. Anybody opposed? Okay, no, okay, so completeness. I think this was complete.
And the only thing about the abutters, that's been
Yeah,
solved, so.
that should be part of this though, I think, don't you think? Completeness that has been addressed or not
Right, It's
necessarily.
right here, yeah.
I think it should be read into it.
Yeah.
What do you want me to read into?
No, I'm
Oh,
not
I'm
asking you
sorry.
to read anything.
Oh.
Should we
Add it to the
add it
approval.
to the completeness thing that
the-
has been taken care of?
Understanding that that has been taken
Yeah.
care of.
Right,
Yes.
okay. Good, I'll let somebody else make the motion.
motion to, for case P 22-01 for completeness.
With the understanding that,
With the understanding that the or, not borders,
abutters,
Abutters.
abutters,
Were-
thank you, were notified. Cindy Belsius and Jill Royer.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it will be fixed. It'll be
On the final plan.
listed on the
Yep.
final plan.
Yeah. And that we have documentation that proves that they were okay with that.
Yep, I've stapled her email correspondence to the abutters list.
excellent. All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Bill. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. All right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Short and simple. Parents and son are going to do a land swap, basic boundary line adjustment of 10.9 acres. 10.9 acres is going to Mike from his parents, and it's that simple. And they'll answer any questions you may have.
Pretty clean.
Yes, simple, clean. Next time I should be in front of Scott, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Would the board have any questions? All right. Open it up for public comment.
Well, this is the first time we've done that.
All right, seeing none. So now I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, case P 21-01. I will move to approve the lot line adjustment with conditions precedent and conditions subsequent, also referring to the proper noticing of the previous of the abutter that fell through the cracks and documentation is on file.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Virgil. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed?
Traffic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Take it easy. See you guys.
All right, moving on to other business. We have under old business, review and the update of the construction observation guidelines. Been long overdue.
Yes. I do have a few comments, if I may.
Yep, please.
So after our last workshop that we had last year, there were a few things that I was to follow up on and bring to the board, and they were whether or not we should get rid of the option of having applicants provide a letter of credit as compared to, builder bond. Jim and I talked to Jim about it, and he would like that to stay in place. He wants people to have that option, and that if they chose that option, then they would have to submit that. I would send it off to him for review, and that would be, paid by the applicant. So he said, just leave it in place.
That gives the applicant more options in what to do.
Right. So he said,
That needs to be part of the
Yep,
record, so.
just leave it in place. The other comment was when the town engineers sort of drafted up their expense list. I think it was you, Scott, that mentioned something about having them go online and,
I can't find that.
so my
Explain that.
question,
out there.
I can't remember exactly where it was in this.
Construction
Been-
estimators.
Okay,
That's the program.
so I guess my question to the board is, should we specify websites Or should we just sort of do a blanket, town engineer should provide some formal presentation?
And me-
I'd
and a
hate to tie it,
methodology.
yeah, I'd hate to tie it into a specific website.
Yeah, no, I
um,
don't think, because
it-
you'd be speaking to that, and I don't think that's our position
Right,
to
no.
point.
So I feel like maybe if just some wording was added, for them to refer to, an online sort of formal submittal or something like that.
Yeah, basically to back up their methodology and how they arrive at
their
these numbers.
cost.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a good word, methodology, I think is kind of, that's what we're trying to do is nail down,
Right.
what was your reasoning behind coming up with these
Because some of
numbers?
them seem to be so abstract.
Yeah.
You say, where do you get these numbers from?
They pull them right out of their hat and say, well,
At least
we
they
might
have.
use it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it certainly feels that way sometimes.
Yeah.
In the, when assigning them to a specific like RS means or one of those is pointless, it's those are out of touch, many of those. So, yeah, so I think coming up with some sort of a wording that they need to basically provide the supporting backup for how they arrived at their values.
The methodology and sources of data, that they're using. Where do they get it from? Like you were mentioning means and stuff like that, whoever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was another thing that we actually hadn't talked about, but after talking with Mike Vignali, we kind of saw that there were some inconsistencies with the subdivision regulation that has to do with as-built plans. And there were sort of some different guidance when you went to the construction observation guidelines that talks about as-built plans. So on page 20 of the construction observation guidelines, it talks about,
20 you said,
it's,
I'm sorry.
yeah, page 20, it's section 7.1. As-built plan. On the third line down, the sentence that starts with as-built plans, it talks about that an as-built shall be prepared by either a New Hampshire licensed professional surveyor or engineer. And when you look to the subdivision regulations, it specifies that a land surveyor is supposed to
I would
certify the
agree with land
plans.
surveyor only. The reason being an engineer is not a land surveyor. Plain
Right,
and
so they, all of them, site plan, subdivision, construction officers, they need to
How
be the
can,
same.
how can an engineer go out there and locate something on the property and say, this is where it is? He doesn't have that education or license. So,
Yeah.
the engineer does what he does, but then it stops there,
Okay,
in my opinion.
yep. So then the sentence should read, as-built plans shall be prepared by a New Hampshire licensed professional surveyor.
LLS, licensed land surveyor.
Couldn't the engineer prepare the plans using data that he got from the surveyor?
But the surveyor will have to have a stamp on that
Stamp on it,
plan.
yeah.
That says
I
that
think if
he-
you say that it's prepared by,
Yeah,
I think that the engineer would be hiring the surveyor probably,
Yeah.
right? Okay, I think it ought to be that just should be stamped by a licensed surveyor
that could be a good point.
to show that it's all the locations are
Because,
accurate.
because the engineer cannot verify anything as far as what's on the ground and where it is.
But I can see that, a consulting firm has engineers.
Yeah, well,
They do all the
they
work.
hire, they put it
They
together
hire the
and it will have a
surveyor.
stamp, as long as it's stamped. I
Yeah,
guess
that's the
word
key,
is stamped by a
the
licensed
third
land surveyor.
party having, putting something on the line here, and it's their stamp they're putting on the line,
Could you,
saying this is what it is.
could you change that to, instead of either, put and? Professional survey and engineer?
I'm not sure the engineer needs
Or.
to be in play.
Could be or. I mean, the only reason the engineer would be there.
right now.
Right, but that's the point is that this is in contradiction to the subdivision regulations, which is only says the surveyor is needed.
Maybe it might
And-
behoove to have Jim give her a wording that's makes sense if we can't handle it.
Because all I was gonna say is you gotta have a surveyor's stamp on it.
Right.
Whether they use an engineer and the engineer goes gets them or whatever, we just want a surveyor's stamp on that print.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that gets you what you want and
Yeah.
doesn't tie him up, that doesn't tie the
Right, whether
consultant
they
up.
go hire, the engineer goes hire them or the people hire them, but as long as you got a surveyor's stamp on there.
Because we've told engineers here before, they wanted to place a building on a lot that was within the setback or at the setbacks. And we did tell them it has to be done by a licensed land surveyor. Land engineer
Right.
says, well, I can do it. Well, you're not licensed to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
So-
anybody can do it.
right.
So the subdivision regulation reads, a licensed land surveyor shall prepare all plans. Plans shall be stamped and signed by the licensed land surveyor. And then it goes on and talks about a design engineer, but they're only certifying the plans of the layout of the layout of the line and grade of all public improvements. So they're only certifying certain things. But it's the land surveyor that prepares the plan.
This is
so
for
that's
their
what that's talking
subdivision.
about.
And he would give the data to the engineer and the
Right.
engineer would just put it as a sheet as part of his package.
Yep. So do you still want me to talk to Jim about
Probably
getting some
not.
language, or you think that that's pretty clear?
Engineer
Stamp on it.
surveyor stamp. I think
just
that-
strike the engineer.
Right. just,
Yep.
Leave engineer out of it.
Okay,
I agree.
Yeah, I think so.
all right, so that's that. And so the only one other thing throughout this document, when you look through it, everything's in red.
Like road
Um,
agent, public works director.
Yeah, so most of these things that we've already gone through at our workshops that we've had, the only changes are also in red from Dana Huff. He provided some comments and they're in those little word bubbles. So there's word bubbles.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
Yeah, the
little
little
clouds
bubbles.
and then
Word cloud.
a larger font.
So those we hadn't looked at yet. He has some really good
Yeah,
suggestions.
he caught
clean
some
things
very
up.
good things in here.
So I don't know if we want to,
I don't know. I've read through it a few times.
just so that we can have it on record and you guys can approve them tonight. You want to go over
Well,
them?
the first one on page 2 is he has Alton DPW, and that is not, we are not a division of Public Works. We're the Highway Department. So I don't think changing that to DPW would be appropriate unless the Board of Selectmen want to call them the DPW.
There's that. Oh.
Page 2.
Can we go to-
page 2, the top of the.
Can we go to page 1?
Yeah, let's start at the beginning.
How come?
He's already a DPW. That's how we hire.
So on A, he questioned the industry standards and asked if there's also a standard of care component.
Yeah, I think that kind of,
I'm confused.
I think that one kind of falls all within
Page
industry
one.
standards.
Page one.
I don't have a page 1.
I don't have a page 1.
Okay, I don't have a page
It's on
1.
the,
No, my
You got
page 1 is
two-sided?
page 2.
Well, this is actually page 4. Section 1 is on page 4.
Do you only have,
This is
do
page
you only
2.
have even number pages?
I don't have,
Oh, he's
I don't have a
missing-
page 1.
One's missing on his,
Me too.
really,
on the back.
Yeah,
really,
Oh, only half. the
you are
book.
missing it.
so
Yeah,
that's
it's
why
right
it's
on the
that
back
on page 2.
appendices.
Didn't do the double sided.
Definitely not.
You have a page 3.
Nope.
No page 3
You
either.
got everything.
I do.
Oh,
Oh, I
no
hate it.
page
when-
3.
I hate it when that happens. All right,
If, so I have a
I don't even have a
suggestion.
page 5.
Yeah, we
I
read
don't
the
either.
even, you read the odd.
I don't have any odd pages. at
Okay,
all.
can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Can we have Tricia go make us some proper copies and we can move on to
Yeah, let's
yeah,
move on to
let's
so we
bang
don't.
out a couple of other things
agenda
here.
item?
So,
It was enough to read mine.
So
Thought somebody
oh,
read
if I
somebody else.
haven't done that a half a dozen times in my life. Okay, so we'll table that for the moment.
I don't need it.
So we're gonna move on to old business B, follow up on building space needs discussions.
The biggest warehouses we can get.
that would be me. So at the last meeting, we had the discussion on recommending this to the selectmen. There was a meeting with the selectmen. Drew was present along with Pat O'Brien from the CIP committee. And the discussion that took place with the selectmen, they've recommended that the fire department and the highway department be looked at first. They've directed the CIP committee to talk about whether or not we should create sort of a subcommittee, which is like a facilities committee. So that way we can just focus on talking about facilities as compared to mixing that conversation in a regular CIP committee. I think it would be better to have a separate committee, although it being another committee, I think it's best to have.
If the selectmen say that they're gonna move on something like this, I think the subcommittee is a
Absolutely.
good idea.
Yep, so we have a CIP committee meeting January 26th. And so we're gonna discuss that, but the selectmen want to hear from the CIP committee. So that's gonna be my recommendation to them to agree on having a separate committee, and then that way we can have the department heads involved as we move forward with, guidance from the selectmen. Who do they want to work on next? Then we can have those department heads involved in the facilities committee. A CIP representative, master plan, hopefully, a selectman. I don't mind being there, so that we have,
You got free time?
yeah, another committee.
Between
So
9
that-
and 9 and 7 AM.
so that way we have some good representation. So that's pretty much where that's at right now. That's,
So as a board, do we need to vote to approve the creation of this facilities committee?
nope, that would be the selectmen. The selectmen are gonna do that. So once we have the CIP meeting, then I have to go back and report to the selectmen, and then they were willing, they just wanted to hear from the CIP committee.
All right. All right. Next was a master plan update. So we have the latest invoice from Tara.
Russ, do you want to give a brief update? There's not too much to,
Yeah, no,
I don't think this one.
we're in the process of drafting up things to get back to her. And she's providing guidance to the various chapter folks who are doing chapters. I'm doing chapter 3. So she has been informed of the vote that we took, right, for expanding her. Well, she is going to we put the warrant article out in front of the selectmen the other night, and that all got approved, so.
Yep.
So it's on the, she's been approved to go up to her 25K, and then she's got 9 more potentially.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully 9 more after that to
Yep.
finish the thing off. So the total cost of this might be 34 when we're done with it, which is a bargain.
Great.
But anyway, so the plan now is to get written material back to her so she can review it and assemble it so it all reads the same, and then get it done by September. So that timeframe. And in between that time, we're gonna have to have some, be a public hearing. We gotta figure out when that's gonna be. It'll probably
Yep.
be in the summertime. But we're not gonna finish the whole thing and say it's done. We're gonna bring it back out as a draft so everybody can see it. So.
Right, so that we have public input along the whole way, so.
All right, great. Next item on the list is D, memo dated January 13 from Jessica regarding a letter dated January 10 from Belinda McLinn. So we have consulted with town council on this, and we're basically going to be following their guidelines, and I think the board has been tuned in with that. So follow town council's advice.
I'm a little foggy on from the Chief Heath. Why he's greened out some of these things and
On the excerpts from
Yeah, well,
the
well,
meeting
what-
minutes.
yeah, I mean, I just don't, what was the basis? My only concern with the application, number of occupants in the home, that paragraph there. I mean, is there something there that I'm missing?
I think that the highlighted sections of the meeting minutes were just basically identifying that
Problems.
Okay,
those
those
sections
issues.
and those
Okay,
potential
That's all
issues,
that was.
concerns.
I didn't know if he was making statements to these things, so no, he just.
No, I think any statements
Brought it out of the
we've
mix.
received, any statements that he had, so.
He was picking up the actions, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so the next item on that list was item E, and that was the corrections to the meeting minutes.
Do we need to take, excuse me, but do we need to take some type of action on letter from, that she wants to be a alternate? Isn't that on?
That's another issue.
That's another
That-
issue.
that
Okay,
comes up
I'm
later.
sorry.
Yep.
Carry on.
Yeah. So the corrections to the meeting minutes, which had to do with, and I was trying to scribble down notes while you were saying it, but I didn't get everything. So the first one was something to do with the vote on the planning consultant. That we had a
Yes.
second, but no votes, or we had votes, but no
Um,
motions, or,
So the first one is the board to vote on planning and zoning consultant warrant article. Russ motioned, Scott seconded, Virgil opposed, and then there was no vote.
So call for a vote.
okay, so we had a motion, we had a second, and those who were present can vote, right?
Well, what did I oppose to if there was no vote?
That's a valid point.
Yeah, somehow he got recorded that he was opposed.
Right. You
But
were,
it-
you were
but the
opposed
re-
to it,
Maybe
right?
maybe they just figured you would.
But there was, there was no,
I think we did vote for
We
it.
did
Vote on it,
vote,
just
and-
didn't get recorded. And he was just
difficult to
being
believe that we didn't
Virgil,
vote.
you know? Well, no.
Just didn't get picked up by the
I don't know,
recording,
maybe,
perhaps,
maybe
or-
it didn't, but I just was going by the minutes and I happened to catch that and
I make a motion that we approve warrant article for the consultant. Is that what you wanted?
no.
Oh, no, those motions were made and they were seconded,
Oh, we just
but
got
they
a
didn't,
vote.
but they
Did I nod off or
didn't,
something?
they recorded your no vote, but they didn't record the rest of us saying,
Now, will you all speak up this time?
Okay,
What are we voting on? I thought we were discussing this McBlinton.
no, we're moved on.
That's, we've already
We're
passed
past
that.
that.
no, we're on to E, which was added to the
I
agenda,
must have nodded off.
so E, which was added to the agenda, which is, apparently we had a motion.
Okay, well, mine's wrong.
Oh, she's making everybody.
Oh.
We only needed two.
Oh, well.
I think we just ignored you, Drew. I'm sorry.
Scribbled all over mine.
I know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I got it on, yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so Roger, so what we need to vote on, we need to, because we have a motion and a second, and that was to approve the warrant article for the planning consultant from last month. And we never apparently voted, except for Virgil was the only one who voted, and he voted no. So
I think we all voted, it just didn't get recorded properly.
that's what I think it was,
Yeah.
the big note was Virgil said no, and it was everybody else, I think. But
Yeah,
for
I
the
think-
sake of argument
What that?
and
I
record
think that
keeping.
overrode
Let's just clean it
everything.
up.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Anybody opposed?
Well, no, he already captured that one.
He's came to the other side.
Changed his mind.
Okay,
Okay,
so
and then the second item
the
was,
second one was, someone, a member should make a motion on the Lakes Region Planning Commission warrant article. Scott seconded it and there was a vote, but not one particular member motioned on it. According to the minutes.
Nobody motioned, but Scott seconded it.
It said planning board. So there was no one, so I think you guys were all in agreement with it and then you seconded it and made a vote.
Right, so they didn't have a mover.
Correct.
If you- I can be a mover
I
if you
think,
want.
I think if I recall, someone made a statement and I said, I'll second that. I think
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah, probably.
they were just had,
What it
were
sounds
talking
like,
and
yeah.
Okay.
For the
I
sake
kind
of
of turned
trying
it
to
into a
clean it
motion.
up. I'll-
Okay,
Put me down as making the motion.
So,
okay, yeah, okay,
yeah, and
All right.
I'm sure
that's all
that,
right. We clarified that. Okay,
but we did record a vote on that one.
yes, it was just the motion.
Excellent.
Put me down as a motion.
I did,
Okay,
okay.
so
What do
we're
you
so
need?
moved.
You need a motion and a second on that or just a vote?
No, just,
We only
Just a
need a
motion.
motion on that one,
Okay,
the initial,
and I stepped in on
the
it.
spark.
okay, saved by Russ.
Okay, so now that we all have full packets with odd numbered pages as well as the evens.
Please double check, but I'm pretty sure. I
Okay.
know what happened the first time.
All right.
Now, it's okay to go with my original, right?
We have all-
Oh, they changed
You
the
got all
wording already.
pages.
I wasn't
You have
sure, but I
page
had-
one?
Okay, so does everybody have a page one now?
Yes,
All right.
Okay,
So page one had to do with construction observations are intended to paragraph A. The question was raised regarding accepted industry standards. Should we expand that to also include a standard of care component? My feeling is that accepted industry standards implies a standard of care.
Yeah,
As
I
well.
thought we used to use a best management practices or something like that. That was our go-to saying.
yes, it is.
Well, accepted industry standards
Yeah.
fall into that category, right?
Yeah,
So.
yeah, but do we need to clutter up with a bunch of different sayings that say the same thing, or should we just carry a saying and move it through?
Yeah, I think accepted industry standards is a good one. Run with it. That's my gut.
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm gonna cross that off.
And then at the very bottom, he says ensure improvements are constructed in conformance with the approved plans, permits. And I agree. I think that's a more clear statement than saying constructed according to.
Sometimes we say in accordance with, I mean, that's another way that,
Right.
that I've always done it.
They all say the same.
Right. How?
So, it's the board's pleasure on that and, whether it's worth it or not to make the change.
I don't mind the saying. I mean,
I think it
it's,
should stay the same.
that's two.
Not according, I wouldn't, I agree with them. I shouldn't say according to, or just say in conformance with, or in accordance with. It should have the word with, not to.
So do you want to use the word conformance? or
All right,
ac-
I'll throw the
accordance?
monkey wrench out there. Why not just dump that word altogether? Are constructed to the approved plans, permits, and
Perfect. That says it in
That'll
a
do it.
nutshell.
Because we don't want to add much more wording to these things.
Yeah, I know.
Great, next.
So next,
Eliminate wording last year.
yeah, trying to clean it up, yeah, streamline. Top of page 2. This was making a reference to the Alton DPW, and I think what I think he was implying was not that we should rename our highway department, but that should they be included in this list of people?
Yes, and he was hired as
Yeah.
a DPW.
Right, so I agree that we should add the Department of Public Works
And I think
Director.
where it says town planner, I think it should say planning department.
Yep, I agree
I
with that.
mean,
Yeah.
because the way, if you're wording it town planner, then they have to get a hold of you personally
Yeah.
instead of the
Right, planning
department.
department.
All the rest of them are departments or positions.
Okay, so I'll change it back to Planning Department. Okay.
And you're adding in DPW, you said?
Yes.
So next one is kind of lower center of page 2, C, the town engineer. Again, this is that according and conformance with. Again, you want to just strike the word and say verify improvements are constructed to the approved plans.
Yep, I agree.
I'll leave it planning department or town planner.
Planning department.
I think it should be.
Oh, yeah,
So-
planning department. Should we make that as a,
So as a blanket statement.
Let's do a
I
global
think-
change on that.
Yeah, there you go.
yep, thank you.
I will change that throughout the document.
So I'm just highlighting his notes and edits because we've been through this.
We've been through all this other stuff that's
Yeah.
in red.
And
So
these
on
best
page-
management practices.
Page 4, section 2, number 7, construction observer. I kind of like though changing of that word to observer.
It's really what they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree,
The general consensus of the board,
because they are
Yes.
doing construction observations.
and that
Not-
that pops up numerous times throughout this
Yep.
document. I
if
think
you
that
wanna
was
take- All inspectors and change it to observer, that would be a global change too.
Okay,
Wouldn't you
Yep.
think?
all right.
Well,
And then
what if it was actually an inspector that was,
he was still hired to
Still
observe.
an observer.
still out looking at the project. Observing you.
well,
See, technically, we don't have a building inspector. We have a code official.
Right. So what do you mean by?
well, the only thing I'm saying, I didn't know if it was like a blank, if you just did it by the computer and it changed everything that said inspector to observer. If there was a paragraph that called for an actual inspector, now you replaced it with observer.
Yeah, so far
don't know
what
if
I've,
that- I don't
what
know if
I've
that
seen
happens.
Jessica do, she doesn't do those blanket changes without checking and triple
without
checking.
going
So
through everything. All right, that we covered then.
Yeah.
there's a way to get around not doing global change.
So the construction observations
Escrow.
escrow, and this was the one, did we already discuss about
That's
this?
pretty
Providing backup numbers?
explanatory itself. Without adding any references in there.
Yeah.
I suppose it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt the definition, but
What's the sense? I mean,
Right.
it's just
Just adding-
baggage.
Adding more in there.
okay.
Yeah,
So no on that one.
no.
Taking out number 9.
Just his suggested correction in the any need to reference security, we're not gonna bother. Item 12 at the top of page 5, looks like it was a clarification, crushed gravel, crushed stone is 304.4. Do we need a crushed stone definition?
I think we should follow the state
Yeah, just.
definitions of this because the state has changed their roadbed requirements that you can put 18 inches of ledge pack in one, not as one lift, but
Right.
instead of having 12 inches, a 4-inch minus, a 6-inch minus subgrade, and then 6 inches of crushed gravel. The state is now allowing you to use all ledge products all the way down through because gravel is becoming so short and rock is,
Plentiful.
Hence the
We grow
granite
wood
state.
rock.
you know,
Well, we want to say
that's-
just follow state
and,
standards.
and you have backup on that, which I have sent you ages ago on that.
Should we have it follow state
So,
standards?
I would
so
like
just
follow
so, just so we're not kind of, because this is kind of going through the definitions, right? So,
Right.
so this is clarifying the definition of crushed gravel.
What I'm trying to say is crushed gravel may not be the product that is used anymore.
Oh, maybe not, but still, we should keep the definition in here.
Right.
And the question is, should we add crushed stone
Or
Or
definition?
hash mark crushed or ledge pack would be more specific.
And then,
That term ledge pack,
I don't even see that in here.
And then should we add a definition for ledge pack
Yeah, there is.
altogether? So-
I think you, well, I think you'll see the definition for crushed gravel and ledge pack,
Are the
and the
same.
manner in which you're gonna use it will be the same thing.
Right. But they gotta be another definition in this section that'd be under L instead of C, okay? But I like the idea of just linking it to whatever the state
Right,
definition is.
because the
and
state
then-
has noticed that they have this problem.
And
That's
they
why
may
they've
change it.
changed it.
And then you'd be consistent with the state at that point.
So add something like C, New Hampshire DOT definition for,
Crushed gravel.
Crushed gravel / ledge pack.
Yeah.
so are you going to include ledge pack in with crushed gravel?
I think
I
you
think
should,
you
I
can-
think you should need to list ledge pack separately.
Yeah, just as another.
Okay, but put it right below it or something like that, because the product is,
Yeah, but
will be
this
used
is
in the
all
same manner.
alphabetical.
Alphabetical, it's gonna go into the Ls.
whatever.
But in both, I think that's a good point, and that they're now allowing it. We don't even talk about it in here.
Right.
So just under L, put ledge pack and then see the state standard.
And the
for
thing
it.
about it is, if the state regs change, we'll change with it.
Right, we don't have to,
We don't have to do anything.
right.
Okay, so. So ledge pack will become 30.
30, that, yeah, 30, right.
Definition, okay.
And so his question was, do we need a crushed stone definition?
Well, yeah, 1/2 inch stone, 2 inch stone,
what I was
rip wrap,
just gonna
6
say.
inch stone. I
6
mean, what stone
minus,
are you
5
talking about? It's all
minus.
crushed. You know?
So he was also clarifying that crushed gravel is states the DOT number 304.3. And crushed stone is 304.4.
3044. Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, well, you use 304 under the catch basin to support it. But you don't put just a stone product alone in the road. Because when you have crushed stone, you're assuming it's probably gonna be.
They're
clean
not
stone.
talking about uses in here. They're just saying this is a definition.
Yeah.
And this is where
yeah,
you
so,
find
so
it.
the actual usage is,
Right, I'm trying to
Oh.
make a point with, by using the example.
so,
Right.
They're all different sizes of crushed stone. That was my point I'm trying to make.
So if under
Right.
crushed stone, if you said you go to this reference to find the definitions of all the different types of crushed stone that you use, that's fine.
Is that how it's listed with the state?
I don't know what it's, that part is listed with the state. I'm not familiar with that.
Or the ASHTO standards.
Well, I'll have to look into that then.
yeah, I mean, my suspicion is if the state has a separate number for crushed gravel from crushed
Right.
stone, they're probably gonna have a different one for ledge pack and,
Yeah, and the thing about it is they're now can be substituted one for another or what have you.
yeah.
Okay, I'll do some research on that and I will bring that back to the next meeting. Crushed stone and ledge back.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so number 34 had to do with the inspection, connection with the observation of a project. So that's another one of those.
Yep.
Down number 44, traffic control, all devices positioned right away around active construction.
Back up,
About the silver.
38.
I'm sorry, 38, silt fence, the MP device woven material, synthetic fabric versus material.
Instead of saying woven material, it could be, you could have burlap in there. Right,
Right,
Yep.
which will degrade in
right.
2
So he's
weeks.
just saying, maybe you should say woven.
A woven
synthetic
synthetic fabric.
fa- Yeah,
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Okay.
Thoughts?
That's fine. You're gonna go buy silt fence and it's gonna come how it comes.
unless you get a guy that says, my buddy has this extra stuff and I'm using it. It's woven.
Number 44, traffic control. So this had to do with kind of, and barriers designed to manage and direct safe traffic flow. And he wanted us to kind of expand as defined by the Manual on Traffic Control Devices, latest edition as published by the Federal Highway Administration, suggested edition.
I think you're adding a lot of money to people's pocketbook when you
Really, when you can go
start this crap.
Yeah,
like this.
yeah.
Well, if it's in traffic area, it's mandatory that you have a
Police officer.
police officer there.
They know what to do.
On the corners.
Detail or flagger, right?
But I think if you're adding, by following federal highway administrations, you're adding a lot of money coming out of people's
Yeah.
pocketbooks.
I moved.
I
to
can tell you
that.
that I came down East Side Drive a couple of weeks ago, very early in the morning, and there was two guys out there directing traffic wearing black.
Yeah, yeah, and it wasn't long before the police department arrived there.
Yeah, I'm sure they
I
were
was
right there.
Go.
Yeah,
It was, didn't take long for. the
Lucky I
crews
didn't
to
hit
pull
one of
right
them.
up there.
no.
Okay, so I take that
So
as a
we,
no.
so we think we can gone too far with that one. Okay.
Okay.
So the next edit suggested is top of page 8. You may want to cite the definition of major site plan, section 104 of the site plan review regulations. This is relative to the applicability of administration, so.
Isn't our major site plan already detailed? I mean, you have a checklist that details what's required.
I agree. I think, again, this is required, is currently read that we are requiring construction observations for all major site plans.
Right, right. And then.
And I think that the minute we start to get a little bit more specific, we are potentially
Isolate.
missing something. Yeah. So I think we leave it as is. Thoughts?
Yep, I think you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, looking for the clouds, looking into the clouds. All right, so page 13. 5.1. Clarifying construction on site observations, other office project related activities such as construction observations, report preparation, communications, submittal, and or plan specifications review. And he is saying submittal / shop drawing.
Isn't plans?
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is
Yeah.
Yes, and
plans already.
in my opinion, a shop drawing is a submittal, so.
Right.
He also removing the, whatever you call that, fancy curly cute, thank you, that thing. And replacing it with the word and, I
Yeah.
agree.
I agree
That's
as
easy
well.
enough to change that. I'm surprised I missed that.
Page 15, 5.4, again, is referencing the observer,
Same thing.
and I agree with those. Everybody else good with those?
Yeah.
And then page 16, 6.2. Again,
Same thing.
observer.
Thing.
Yeah, I think OSHA's fine. That,
You don't think that the planning department should also be notified if there's an issue?
with safety?
What's it, how would you benefit from that?
No, because OSHA is the one that steps in for safety problems.
And they're
Don't
judge
you
and
think the
jury.
town should know if there's an OSHA violation on a project?
No, OSHA will shut it right down and notify you. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah,
I was gonna say OSHA would shut you down before planning board even. voted on
Yeah,
it.
so-
OSHA will remove people off the site and shut it down.
So more importantly, though, the wording on this says that the town engineer and or construction observer now has the right to not only refuse to conduct the observations. If they're refusing to conduct an observation because of safety, they probably should let the planning board, the planning department know
because
that they refusing to get in there and make that
yeah, because
observation.
they are our guy out there.
If they think
Right.
it's
Right.
unsafe, they should be calling OSHA right in.
Right.
I agree. You know, they can call OSHA, absolutely, but I also think the planning department should be notified to say, I went to go do an inspection. I didn't feel safe, so I didn't do it.
Well, he's your employee, he's the planning department.
Should be notifying us anyways, because it's getting paid through us.
Right,
Right.
so
Yeah.
the notification would have to
So
happen.
Yeah, so-
putting the planning.
So
department-
adding the planning department to that
Makes sense.
notification list does make sense. I
Yeah.
agree.
I agree.
So,
It's not safe enough for me to do my work.
Yeah, that's scary all by itself.
Page 17, 6.3, again, construction observer,
What page you on?
17. You got odd
Oh,
pages
just
now, right?
changing the wording.
Observer,
Yeah. Page 18, under 6.6 testing,
6.5.
6.5, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had a comment about that. I just don't think that we should be in the business of approving a materials testing firm. I think we should say that you guys got to do it in a certain way. You figure out how to do it. If we get in the middle and we approve it and then something goes bad, then
Well, then the test results come in anyways.
Well, yeah, you have a firm that, like, I'll use SW Cole, you take your 5-gallon bucket of material down there, you go, here. Tell me what it is, and they'll give you the gradation.
But I don't think
Proctor
that
on
we
it.
should be in the business of approving testing firms.
No, absolutely not. We're not
No.
qualified for that.
No, I agree.
Okay, axe that.
A little further down, pipes would be tested for deflection, slope, and pressure / leakage. You know, the fact that leakage isn't there, structures are tested for leakage, but
Right.
pipes should be as well, probably. So,
Even on your structures, your inverts would be your piping.
yeah, but your invert is actually just that connecting point. It's
I
not the
know,
length of pipe
but-
in between
But
point A
what I'm
and
saying
point
is you
B.
got pressure, leakage, inverts. So
And the
that's,
pressure would be when you test manholes,
right.
but those actually work on a vacuum.
Yeah. So the testing of your pipes, you guys,
That would be Mandrel testing.
It's,
but so you don't test for pressure?
yeah, but
Uh,
well, even with the vacuum, you test the manholes, but your pressure in the pipe between them.
Yeah. You have to do it once they're backfilled because they'll come out of the ground if you don't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I think all he was saying here is under structures, we have pressure / leakage, and should that also be included under the pipes, pressure / leakage? A pressure test is going to identify the leakage.
Yep.
So I think that's
Yeah,
just
'cause it has to hold so much pressure.
yeah, I think so that this is just kind of cleaning up and consistency. So I think that that's a reasonable change.
Yep.
All right, page 19 is again the plugging in of that observer.
Same with 20.
Page 20, construction engineer and or construction observer again. Those are good catches. All right. That was fairly painless. And on the very last page, 33. Just on the construction observation verification form, changing the title to construction observer.
Okay.
That's awesome. All right,
All right, so I'll make those few changes between now and then, the next couple of weeks or whatever, and have it ready for the next meeting.
If the board would pleasure me, if we could wait to the March meeting for that, I'd appreciate it. I will be out of town for next month's meeting. Yes,
yeah,
fine.
Okay,
yeah, that works for the rest of the board.
I make a motion that we put it on the March agenda.
I'll second that.
Here's one of these. Here you go. Pay attention to this one.
All those in favor?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
I'll abstain.
We're on approval of minutes.
I do, because
Yeah,
I'm not
he
gonna
won't
be there.
here.
Okay, so moving on to new business. We have approval of the minutes from December 21.
I have actually a change on it. So we have listed Tom Hoops as member present, and he was not. So that's just that one change.
I just, one tiny little thing on page 7. I guess third paragraph down, third full paragraph down. It's 12 square feet per sign.
Okay,
Yeah, I just wrote 12 feet per sign.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's
that makes a difference.
I didn't see anything else.
I think you see that down further, last paragraph, mid where it says 200 feet. Is that square feet? Means of egress.
You just didn't know,
200 square feet's one heck of a big egress.
yeah,
Yes.
200 lineal feet is what
Okay.
that one is. So,
Then we should do that lineal then.
yeah,
Well, I
200
wonder
feet
if
of
it's
travel.
even
So right, and right above it, the
No,
50
it's,
feet.
it's 5.7 or 6 square feet egress.
For a window, yes. But I believe
want,
that this is
Scott?
referencing the 200-foot travel to a exit. I think is what this was referencing.
Oh, you got
Maximum 200
feet
foot,
to get to
yeah.
the egress.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we were changing anything in that paragraph?
50 feet.
The 50-foot is a dead-end corridor, and
Right.
then we decided this kind of didn't really apply to
Yeah,
dead-end
man.
That's why the
corridors.
post office has a side door.
Yeah,
And the post office thought that like you can't believe, but yeah, we have a door.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's fine unless we want to clarify that that's feet of travel distance
Yeah, I think-
is
I think
really
we
what the
should.
reference is.
I think we should, yeah.
Okay, so it's 50 feet of travel distance and 200 feet of travel
And,
distance.
and this is no fault of yours because I'm sure we said feet.
I'm sure we did. Yep, absolutely.
Now it says 12 square feet,
That's,
but yet I was told 24 square feet I could use for a sign out
it all
on
depends
28.
the zone.
Yep, depends on your zone.
Well, that, it doesn't mention that in here.
Okay.
It says that stated that is the maximum allowed in the zoning district.
Right, and that's rural residential, if I'm not mistaken, that we were talking about.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember talking about that, but I
Yes.
just wanted, I didn't know if we had the
You're right.
reference, whether it's rural or.
Yep.
Or what? Because that is a deception. If I was to read this,
You'd think that's all you
not
could
being on the
have.
board, that's all I could have was
Right.
12 square feet.
Yeah. So how would we word that to make sure that a layperson would understand what they,
Well, I think it is because if you keep reading through, it says Mr. Lawler responded and stated that is the maximum allowed in the zoning
there
district.
you go, okay, I'm
So,
good with that.
so I think it is
Yep.
covered.
Yep.
Anything else?
Make a motion.
People swap signs? Like,
Okay.
say you have an advertisement and you deciding to get rid of it. And I want to take over your position.
I think you got to go to the plan, to
gotta
the
go to the
building
planner.
department and
Yeah.
get
Is
a permit for your sign.
for
Okay.
you, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the motion was started. I heard it.
Make a motion to approve the December 21st minutes
I'll second that.
As amended?
as amended.
All right, seconded by Scott. Any other discussion? All those in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Okay, so next up is correspondence for the board's review, discussion or action. review the applications for consideration regarding citizen members to sit on the Alternative Housing Committee.
Jessica, how many of these do you need? All 8?
Okay, so I just wanted to discuss that with you guys first. So we don't have a limit for the Alternative Housing Committee. We never determined a number of citizen members to sit. So what I did was just did the same thing as we do for the CIP committee, which is 4 citizen members. So currently Paul Zuzgo sits as a citizen member
Yeah.
on that committee. So I don't know if the board wants to just review 3 additional members. Do we want to have more than 4? I mean, it's up to you on how you want to handle that.
More the views, the better.
And I did have Tricia review the applications. And if you recall, we came to the planning board a couple months ago and you guys voted on having non-resident, non-full year residents to sit on committees. So what we did is we went through the applications and kind of indicated on this spreadsheet to give you an idea of how many people were, year round and how many were non-year round, just to kind of hash that out a little bit.
But they're all residents.
They all own property. Some are full year residents and some are not.
How about if we approve all 8 and you pick?
We only have so many seats at the table. So
There's already a number of people.
it's-
in the-
Well, that's why you can pick to fill whatever seat you want.
it's not up to me to pick.
I would agree. No offense, but.
Can I make a suggestion though?
Yeah.
So Susan Ellithorpe, I know I saw her come in. This Susan, she was the motivating factor.
Yep.
That stemmed that conversation. So if I was to pick anybody, I would pick Susan, because if it wasn't for her, that conversation never would have taken place.
Well,
There's my recommendation.
I would 100% agree, because she brought herself here to talk with us.
Correct.
And I don't know if any of the other people did.
Not that anyone else did not
Over's
stress
been
they
here
wanted to
before,
sit, but
To do with the alternative housing.
Yeah, it wasn't for alternative. Mr. Boba wasn't on alternative housing. He was there, referenced the,
B&B.
the Airbnb type of stuff. Yeah.
right, so we got number 1.
So you made a statement that everybody at least owns land here, but I don't, there's a Jamie Connolly,
Yeah,
present?
well, there we go.
And do you own property in Alton?
Yep.
Okay,
We have 4
I
here.
didn't see that here. That's why I questioned it.
okay.
Oh, there's 2.
Anybody else here that's on the list?
There's 3.
Your name, sir? Hi, Ben.
Conley. Now you only need 1.
Any others? No? There you go.
I mean,
My opinion, if they're here,
Well, with Paul,
It's
with
Paul.
Paul Zisco on there,
Yep.
that's
That would be 4,
right there.
yeah,
4.
if you want to go with that.
yeah, I
then
think we should
that-
keep him on because he's there.
Yep,
And if you need alternates, you can call the others.
right.
Yeah.
And then we're consistent with how we manage the other committees.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we set 1, 2, and 6 for Alternative Housing Committee.
For our scientific
Yeah,
method that we use.
So that would be Susan Ellithorpe, Benjamin Kane, and James Conley.
sure.
I will second
Yes.
that motion.
See, Virgil went with the numbers because he couldn't pronounce her last name.
That's why I figured I'd go with the numbers.
All right, so we have a motion by Virgil, seconded by Scott. So any discussion here? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I can just make an announcement, I will be in touch with the three of you. Once I can, get some dates down as to when we are available to meet. So just be on the lookout for an email from me.
I would
Okay.
like to get that geared up earlier this spring than
Yeah.
we normally start.
Yep. I was waiting for this meeting and then I can move from there.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, so next on the list is memo dated January 13 regarding discussions for the covenant restricting the lot sales for Ingalls Woods subdivision here in Alton.
And just to clarify, that memo was changed to a planner review, not a memo.
Mr. Chairman, I'm leaving the board and
When was it changed to planner review?
At the beginning of the meeting.
Right.
I was gonna
Through the
prepare,
agenda change.
yeah, I was gonna prepare a memo and thought it was best to do a planner review.
So for the record, Scott Williams has stepped away from the table figuratively. So I assume the board has had a chance to take a look at this.
Yeah, and I think that if the town is issuing building permits, not doing their due diligence, and we should not be coming back and saying, okay, I'm gonna take that away from you. I mean, that's one of the best subdivisions in this town. It's up there. The roads are good, the houses are nice. It's a nice subdivision, the water flows good, everything flows good up there. And if we've issued permits, and that means those lots can be built on and can be sold. I mean, the town, we've done this before and we go back on people after the fact, and that ain't right. But if downstairs ain't doing their job, then we shouldn't have the right to go back and say, no, you can't do that. We're pulling your permit, stopping your work.
I'll add just one quick note to this. No?
Yeah, why don't we wait until maybe I put this to a public? Sorry,
Public?
But public.
public speaking section, because
I'm not the public, though.
yeah, but you're not on the board either, right at the
I'm
moment.
not on the board, but
So-
I'm the
The applicant, so to speak.
I'm the owner of this LLC.
Yeah. Yeah,
Scott, can I ask him a question or no?
yeah, I think I wanted to make sure that the board had all had a chance to review all of this first. That was my biggest concern. So Bill, have you gone through this and read this?
Yep.
Okay, Roger, have you?
I've read quite a bit of it, not in total understanding of why,
Oh, that's why I want to
How we-
ask him, because I
how we
read,
got here and surpassed
Yep.
step A.
Yep, and that's, I think that everybody probably has that question. So,
yep,
so Virgil, so
can I talk to him now?
yes, thank you.
Right. How many of these lots are sold already?
That's what I was just gonna verbalize. Lot 3-8, 3-9, and 3-10 are all been transferred.
They've been transferred.
They've been transferred.
Okay.
3-8 was transferred last year, and that person's been there well over a year as of last September, October. I'm about to call for a building permit on 3-9 on Tuesday. So it's a completed home. And we're setting
For a C of O, you mean?
CO, certificate of occupancy.
Yeah, sorry, you said permit, so
No, I meant it's a CO
okay.
that we're want to get on Thursday on lot 3-9. Setting trusses on a house tomorrow, weather permitting, on 3-10.
Now, is that road's all paved in there?
It's all
Or
paid.
base coat, whatever?
Yep. And I'll wait till I ask questions before I tell.
All right.
So-
What happened with the engineer?
The engineer,
Yeah, because I don't see a report in here and I want to know
well,
what happened.
as Kevin Leonard, and you, it looks like you voted while I was absent from this board and not even noticed on the board apparently voted to keep Kevin Leonard as the engineer on this project, and I will refuse that vehemently. He has prejudged me. This is the very, very first letter he wrote. He said, "It appears I know everything." And if you don't think that's prejudgment, it isn't. Then we'd have to let the courts decide, but I hope it doesn't have to go to that position. I will have a new, one of the town approved engineers continue on. But in his absence, I have had my engineer record and temperature things. And I also hired SW Cole as a private entity to do all compaction testing, roads, temperature of amount of yards, waste slips, and everything on the asphalt. I have not turned him in because this Kevin Leonard's involved and I'm not going to play that game with him.
That's pretty fair. So can the board take those in?
Does the board allow that with other subdivisions?
Well, I think we would when we have a problem with.
I would see
Yeah.
you not using my engineer, but I hired SW Cole and there's not a chance on this earth you're going to blow smoke up those guys and have them
Well,
come your way.
So can I ask Scott a question?
Yes.
May I? Do you think maybe it would have been better to talk to the board?
Not when I had
Ken?
this Kevin Leonard going through the thing. You know
Right,
what,
but ask,
you know,
so
Jessica, you
approaching the
know it
board
well.
to ask the board to switch back then, instead of going through the process of
It
the
was voted I had to
subdivision.
keep him.
So why didn't you address it back then? That's all I'm asking.
I just haven't addressed it
You weren't
because,
here.
well, I wasn't here when it happened. And I only got
But-
word of mouth that it happened. I never got an official notice that that was the decision from the board. You know, I just don't like the process because I know roads in this town that were built that never had the consulting engineer even step foot on there once. And they're selling houses and everybody's having a rosy future. I'm not going to get in the game of who it is because I don't play that way,
That's been my beef right along.
Right. So
you know?
Some and not the others.
you know, to me, the problem that is at hand here is that there is an engineer that was assigned and,
Yeah, and we
whether you-
asked him
with-
questions and
with-
he
let
would
me
not
finish.
even
Let me
respond
finish.
to us.
Let me finish. Whether you like him or not, there was an engineer assigned to the project
That's correct.
that, as I understand now, you refused to call in to do any inspections.
No, he did inspections. He went to do my subgrade and the slope underneath it, because that slope has to carry up through the whole lift of the road. And so he was there for the subgrade and apparently approved that. He was there, I think, on a Columbus Day was the day that he was there.
Okay.
And I think he's filed that report.
Yeah, I think that was back at some November, Columbus Days in
Yeah,
October,
you
November.
could have received it in November, but I think it was done Columbus Day that he was physically there.
Okay. So the board had decided to keep Kevin Leonard on for the continuity of the project, but I guess that was the last inspection that you ever requested of him or called in, and from that,
I have a question.
yes.
If we voted to keep Kevin Leonard on, why wouldn't he be notified?
I'm not sure. I would have to look back in my
That
correspondence.
don't, if we're voting in to keep an engineer on a job, then there must have been a problem or something why we're voting to keep him there. First of all. Second of all, I would think that you would notify the applicant right away on which engineer is going to be on the job.
The only reason I was notified about this is I received this letter Friday evening.
Don't give you much time, does
I
it?
don't have time to do anything with this.
Well, if you recall, Scott, I did talk to you in October when you came in for that building permit. And I said, there's covenants in place. And I told you I'd do some research on it. And since we've been swamped in the office,
That's fine.
I didn't have time to address it right away.
Now I have another question, because I read in here AOT permit.
Funny you say, I have a meeting with them it was 11 o'clock tomorrow. It's now 1 o'clock tomorrow. Hopefully this will be finalized. It is a brutal process.
Well, it says in here, you gotta be patient, takes 5 months.
5 months.
I think I read in here or something.
It's a lot more than that.
State.
It
guy
is
or
a
whoever
painful
said-
process.
said just be
Inexpensive,
Patient.
by the way.
So we're jumping around. I'd like to try and, finish the thought.
Going right down the line.
Yeah, I know you will. I don't think we finished on one of the items though.
All right.
So you raised an issue. Why wouldn't he have been notified of his engineer? And my question is that was the engineer. Why would we notify him that there is no change in your engineer?
Then why are we voting to keep an engineer on that?
Why are you
side?
even
Because
talking
he
about my
because
project?
he was not carried on to be the engineer in the next year.
If you're
We had
talking
other
about my
bidders.
project, I must be notified,
Absolutely.
period,
Absolutely.
period. If you're
Right.
talking about my project, I need to be properly
It's law.
notified.
So, and that may be, I'm not going to speak to whether I know that fact or not. I
Let's not
don't
make
know.
this
but,
more than it needs to be. That's my only point.
And I think that we are, and I think we very easily can make it more than it really needs to be. You've got an issue with Kevin Leonard. So I think there's a couple of things that I'd like to propose the board consider for this. Number one is we do have a new town engineer that has been, voted in, and we have it all
Guy that lives in
figured out.
town,
What's that?
the guy that lives in town.
Yeah,
Yep.
yep. I would like to, suggest that maybe the board consider that we have all of your records from SW Cole, which is a very reputable company,
Yep.
transferred to him for review. And then perhaps have him do a walk and kind of make it, we all know your development and it is top notch.
It's beautiful.
And that would be my recommendation that we not take any other action at this time other than that, just to get
Get it rolling.
let's get the facts laid out. I think that what we're gonna learn is everything's done fine, everything's hunky dory, and we're getting all upset over nothing. That's my gut. So
Well, I just get upset when we go back on things that we're saying, okay, downstairs. And then we find out down the road, somebody that the town screwed up. And now we're going back to the people that are working every day saying, no, we're gonna put a stop to you by this.
and
I just
and
think that's
absolutely
wrong.
those permit apps, should have been flagged right out of the gate, should have been flagged.
Well, I guess we could ask for permission to unrelease that covenant on those lots on the end of that road.
And I think that the first step to do that, in my opinion, is let's get the new town engineer to review the documentation and the testing results. And let's see what that town engineer has to say about that.
I like that because you don't want to look like you're doing favors.
Yeah, and that
No,
covers
I don't,
everything.
and I don't want favors, but I don't want to be singled out because I am
No.
here either.
Right.
But either way,
Yeah.
it just needs to make
Yeah, but
sure that
that-
it looks right. So.
Right, and that covers it. Yeah, it's done right. And
So the biggest snafu that I see is, obviously, we're not going to penalize somebody who's been living there for 14, 16 months. I think that would be ridiculous. You've got a C of O you're going for this week. Have you got somebody moving in?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
These are pre-sold. They own the lots already
and he said he's got trusses going on one.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
No,
3:10.
yeah, the trusses going on doesn't bother me nearly as much as the C of O.
Well, I'm gonna be.
Continuing putting
this
on
may not be-
trusses.
This may not be complete by the time this lot 310 is done. and
Exactly.
Needs an occupancy.
Well, 310,
Yep. 3.9 is this coming week. 3.10 is coming probably in April-ish.
3/8 is sold,
They're all sold. All the three that I just mentioned are sold.
and they live there.
No, they own the land and I'm building the house for them.
3/8's already got somebody living there.
3.8 already has someone living in it for.
He's doing a
14,
CO
15
on
months.
3/9
Yep,
and 3/10,
will be
Trusses are
done.
going
the
on.
trusses are going
Yeah,
on,
but if we-
and
we can't get this thing resolved by April, for heaven's
So is
sakes.
this all over asphalt?
Yeah.
It's all over the whole road construction. So, and that's why
What's
You
that
said
gonna do to a
Kevin was
construction
there
loan?
in what?
Excuse me?
What's that gonna do to the construction loan if they make you go through the,
Well, I think I would be due a occupancy on 310
Yeah.
if we get done and this isn't resolved, just in keeping of what else we've done.
right, because that's gonna put you way behind schedule and that's gonna cost you a ton of money.
Well, it's gonna not allow people that have a severely handicapped child move into their home.
Right. That's what I'm getting at. So I agree with
Fully
Correct,
ADA
which-
accessible home.
where
This
he
is-
stepped out. I don't know if I'm allowed to vote in now.
well, you can't vote, but you can.
He can be appointed as, he can be
Well,
appointed as an
certainly
alternate.
I agree with
Drew, he
George.
can be appointed as an alternate because
Well,
I'm
that's
away
true,
from the board.
That's very true.
Yeah.
No,
Well, I was gonna mention that, but I didn't want to say it.
well, no, you can say those things. Yeah, so let's put you in as an alternate, as
There we go.
long as he's away. I'm
Now you
sorry.
can
I agree with Verge that if you've been given a permit and you've gone this far, I've done enough construction in my life that it's ridiculous to step back. I mean, to have another engineer come in and go over what an engineer's already approved and the town has. approved,
Especially if
The
the
planning
problem
board
with
has
town
approved.
sends people up there to look at that development.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You know, so
I, I'm on
The
Verge's
point,
side.
the point here is that there was this long period of time where there was not a representative doing construction observations, a representative appointed by the town.
Appointed by the town, but he did it right by getting Cole to do the testing and the,
I anticipated that.
yeah, so I mean, it's done right. We
Yeah,
have
still you
the
gotta have the-
We,
papers and stuff. I mean, I disagree with having a town engineer because you don't need two stamps on the same print.
Right.
I
You-
mean, and I've been that
That
way from
registered
day
with the
one.
town already?
What's that?
The previous engineer stamp?
The engineer that designed it originally they're all stamped and that's all recorded in the
And all
registry.
recorded in the town.
It's all recorded, yeah.
but the actual construction, the building of the road, right, was not observed by an individual appointed by the town, which is a requirement. So,
But he
But-
hired somebody to come in.
No, but we
Right,
have a
but that-
rule, you can't make.
I think you need to hear a little bit more background on Kevin Leonard.
Well, hang on a sec. From what I'm hearing, you had somebody come in, test it,
I hired two people that day.
okay, came in, tested the road and all that stuff. And the town, and the town's got the plans all stamped and all that
no,
stuff.
no, you're
No, no.
backwards. We have the stamp, the original design, we have stamped, all that.
Right.
The
So
original
now when he
layout.
goes to build it, we're supposed to have somebody representing the town, witnessing all of the construction to make sure it's done properly.
But you didn't have anybody.
Yeah, we did.
We had somebody that was supposed to be there, but he wasn't. Scott hired somebody else to come in to do that observing. We do not, as a town, we don't have all of that test results, so we don't know whether it was all done right.
I'm more
Yes.
than happy,
So-
you're belaboring that, and you
Scott?
don't need to.
Can
I'm
chime in
just
here?
trying to clarify things in the procedures.
Can I
so-
chime in here for a little bit? So he came, you said Columbus Day. That was to inspect the gravel?
No, subgrade,
Sub-base.
sub-base. You have,
Sub-base.
see, when you build the road, you rough it out, you get all the organics out of there, and you bring it to subgrade. You have to crown it to subgrade, and you use it's usually the materials that are there. And then you put your lifts on
And compact.
and compact it
So
and get
Kevin came out and inspected all of that.
the subgrade. At that point in time, see, he was complete, this is what I want to say. He was completely unresponsive because he had his head in the clouds on this AOT thing. He wouldn't talk to me about anything, nothing. And there was, weather was upon us, time of the year, and he was unreactive. And that's my problem. I mean, because he didn't, that's why I hired these other people to do the thing, because I needed to get asphalt
Did
down.
you bring that up with Jessica or the?
She
board?
is fully aware of what was going on with
Yeah,
this Kevin Leonard
this
thing.
actually, all this was discussed before the board
Yeah.
previously. So
Okay,
the,
so can I still chime in here? So Jessica knew what you were doing as far as hiring?
I didn't
Cole?
tell her about the road being
No.
paved, no.
Which if
She
I,
knew
if I
about-
knew all that, this never would have taken place. We wouldn't be having this discussion tonight. I can guarantee you that.
So well, I think
Same.
we should take your idea and take Drew's idea and have the tests that he's got give them to the town engineer, let him review them, send it back to us, but I don't think that we should have a stop on this, because this says to stop all construction that I read in here.
That
think
was
that it
one of the
should-
recommendations that,
Right.
or one action that we could take, and I agree, I think stopping does not make sense. I think that this probably can be resolved. I would like to think that we will get a interpretation, and that's all it's gonna be. It's gonna be an interpretation of somebody else's observations and
Agree or
test
don't agree
results. And if it's a positive interpretation, then I think that we can move at that point to release. So
Okay.
that, and I don't think that this, I think we can have this, I would think by next meeting. I mean, I don't
Well,
think. it
I'm gonna
should
be
take
out of
that
town
long.
next meeting as well, but I will try
What,
my
March?
middle of March. I'll be back for the March meeting, but what March meeting is like the 17th or something like that, and I come home the 12th. So I mean,
So that gives the engineer a little bit of time,
yeah, but I think I have all my
so we don't rush through.
stuff
Yeah.
scanned in my neat, so I can grab the inspections and email them. It's not a problem. I did the tonnage, the temperature was recorded, just like you do on
Yeah.
every other thing else.
So they did all the compactions and all that as you
Yeah, I
brought
have
the
all
lifts
kinds
up
of,
and all that
I did
stuff.
2 lifts and I had 104% compaction on one of them. And I always wondered, how the heck do you get 104%?
Moisture, it's all in the moisture. Um,
So-
93.
So
Just-
did they go as far as did they draw the
I
little
did grade it.
maps
I
and
did-
do the,
I-
here we did the
I did
test here.
I did gradation. I don't think they did that. They
Yeah.
just said they did a series of, they did, I think they gave station numbers.
Okay, and
So-
did they do nuclear densometer, do you know, or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be
So,
fine.
yeah. So
And I honestly was waiting for this AOT thing. I thought it would be resolved long before now, but
not by what this paperwork says.
Ugh.
It says be
Yeah.
patient.
it's been horrible. And I've got about $14,000 wrapped up in that, just figuratively speaking.
Now, I make a motion that we send the test results to the town engineer. Scott would send them into Jessica and put it on the March ballot
In the meantime.
and not
Continue
What
construction.
The March agenda?
March agenda.
He's used to say ballot. It's-
Going out to vote.
Well, can we postpone that to April, maybe? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna be here.
All right, well,
Will you be here for March, you said, right?
March. Yeah,
Okay.
pardon me, March. Yeah, okay.
that's what I
I'm
said.
sorry.
Put it on the
Yeah.
March agenda.
You're thinking April voting.
I'm thinking, yeah.
So can I just clarify
Yeah.
your motion? So it's the reports from SW Cole,
Yep,
and you said you had your engineer, is that Ekman Engineering?
Ekman did
So
them
did
as
he
well.
do any reports or follow-up or
Yeah, they
anything?
did. They were only there for the placement of the asphalt.
Okay,
Ekman was, and Cole. I had both of them there that
okay.
day.
So reports from Ekman Engineering.
I did that for the
and-
purpose of the thing because I wanted their reports to match.
Okay,
Of both.
and reports from SW Cole.
Mhm.
So are you gonna have them send those to me directly and I'll send them to Dana?
I
How are we
probably,
gonna
I
do
have
that?
them myself. I will probably forward those, the reports that they get from SW Cole. If you haven't seen them, you don't know them.
Okay,
But they have a form that, on what they do.
all right. So forward them to me and then I'll talk to Dana.
Yep.
And then we're gonna put it on the March agenda.
March agenda.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Means we'll probably take it up in June.
But he's allowed
You
to
know,
continue.
the thing about,
Yes.
all I ask is to be treated equitably like we treat everybody else. As I said, there are roads that, and we just talked about it more tonight, there are roads that are approved and people building on. Nothing was done.
Yep.
And then we talk about, tonight about as-bills. I bet 90% of the people that we tell to do as-bills don't do as-bills.
Mr. Chairman, was there a motion on the floor?
There was a motion.
Here's a motion.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah,
seconded
motion.
it.
That's right. We shouldn't talk about anything else
Yeah,
until that's
motion.
clear.
I have a motion seconded.
And
Have the reports turned into Jessica for her to send them to the engineer, for him to put on the March agenda.
Yeah.
And he's allowed to keep going with this project.
okay, so that is the motion in place. Do we have a second?
Second.
I second it.
He seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, a little bit. Say, go forward with his project.
Yeah, not shut him down so he can finish the houses. he's doing.
Remove the stop.
There is no stop.
There's no
issue.
stop.
There's no stop in place right now.
We're not gonna stop on it.
Right, there's
Right.
no stop in place, but he'd be able to still do his construction up there. March, we'll be looking at the covenant that he's got on it.
I
Release
mean, but
lot
he can-
12.
I mean, he's got a house ready to sell. What if everything?
That's
doesn't-
why we're not
It's already-
stopping it
It's
here.
already
We're not
sold.
putting a stop
They're
on
ready to
that.
Move in. They're not doing anything. Raj.
Okay, all right, so it's already past the whole banking and process, I mean, because
There's the bank, don't even discuss banks. There's nothing to do with banks here.
No, he'll be able to get the CO for the house and
Move in.
the house he's doing.
Move to the question.
Okay,
Anymore.
any more?
What's that, Raj?
okay, yep.
Okay, I have a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Okay,
Thank you.
I will be rejoining the board.
all right, Scott's rejoining the board.
And I, Lee Hills Grove, will be stepping down as an alternate. For voting reasons.
All right. Okay, next. Discussion on amending subdivision approval regarding John L. Jedry Ridgewood subdivision. And on that one. Where's Jessica?
All right, so Mr. Jedry, approached the office and, he currently is in the works on the Ridgewood subdivision. He has covenants in place restricting lot sales, on phase 2. So he is before the board tonight to discuss the potential of, providing security in place, of being able to release those restrictions.
Sounds familiar.
I just want to say, thanks for poking the hornet's nest.
She did it, not me.
I was just clarifying things. So I was in contact with Mike Vignali. He's provided actually 2 scenarios. If you look in your packets, you'll see bond estimates, number 1 and number 2. So the bond estimate, number 1.
319,000.
Yeah, so the 319,068. So that security does not include the 2 securities that are in place for phase 1, phase 2 for the site reclamation. So if he was to leave those 2 securities in place, sorry, if you were to release those 2 securities,
Yeah.
then those 2 securities would be included in this 319,000. So it would be for site reclamation and for road improvements.
Basically, is rolling all of them into a
Yeah, so if
single
you want to do it
security to
all,
cover the
right,
whole
and then
thing.
that way,
So if we keep the, what is it, 69 and 28, that would be the 220? 2? Am I confused?
so look at number 1. There should be, yeah,
319.
69.
yep,
It's
Right.
either or.
right. So if you decided to release the funds, it's, he currently has cash security
Right.
for phase 1 and phase 2 for site reclamation. So if you decided to release those funds, he could put down a bond for 319. Or in scenario,
Go ahead.
in scenario number 2, if he kept in place the phase 1 and phase 2 site reclamation cash security, if he kept that, then the bond would only have to be 220,000.
Only.
Well, So there are two scenarios. So I guess that would be up to the board and with Mr. Jedry to discuss, you know, what's the best option.
Oh, can we just skip over that part and come back to it? My questions are, if I post this security bond, whatever we agree upon, can I start selling lots? First of all, I've got 10 lots in phase 2. We're talking about phase 2. Phase 1, we've sold lots. I put a security bond down for that whole thing, and what she's talking about is what's left.
Yeah.
So we're on to phase 2.
Jessica,
Yep.
does he have to have the sub base down before he can sell lots? No.
No, so if he's coming in to put security down, that would release him, you'd be able to vote on that and release those restrictions on lot sales.
Yeah, because he's got, the road's basically built, you just have
Yeah,
hot top, right?
yeah,
And
yes,
and slope the
Yeah.
edges and
Yeah.
tie it all in and
oh,
you're done.
right.
Yep.
Was that phase 2? Is that paved?
No.
No,
No, not yet.
Phase-
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Phase 1 definitely
It's
is.
shy of paved.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because I drove it the other day
Yeah.
and
Right,
sheet of ice out
And
there.
the grass is growing and, well, it's not growing right now because it looks
Yeah.
white, but.
right. All the slopes and everything are done. That,
Yeah.
because I put a reclamation bond up while I was doing phase 2.
Okay.
Okay. So that allowed me to continue on and do phase 2. Reclamation only. It didn't allow me to sell lots. That's why I'm here now. We have people interested in buying these lots and we want to
Okay, well, the
Yep.
sun shines.
set the hook.
Right.
We'll see a problem with it.
Are you disputing any of these numbers here? I mean,
I haven't had a
Because-
chance to talk with Mike. Some of them, it's not that far off. If I talk with Mike and Mike and I set a figure, that's a figure people are going to agree to,
most likely.
most likely.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah, we go by Mike's advice.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's what you pay him for.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what you pay him for. That's right, be a joker. you understand?
did walk into that one.
Turn the knife, don't you?
Yeah. That has two sides on it, but.
Jessica, do you have any problems with it? You see anything?
I don't. I think, Mike's done a great job. He's been out there inspecting all along.
Yep.
He tells me, and I've been out there on site, it looks great out there.
Does.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It's a great subdivision. It's nice and quiet. Yeah, it looks good.
These are, not to interrupt, but
Yep.
these are all my SW Cole, all the stuff that's been done on the road.
Uh-huh.
But you know,
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
So with my discussions with Mike, he feels like
There
he's,
you go.
he's at a good spot that, if the board felt that that was appropriate and, coming up with that mutual number, dependent upon whether you want to keep that cash security in place, that would decrease the amount of the bond, or if you want to
well,
include
yeah, well,
all of it, that if you include both site reclamation and road improvements, that bond would have to specify that it's for both.
So I'm clear on this,
Yeah.
319,000 to do the work, but he
Yeah.
has 69,000 and some change and 28,000 and some change. So
Correct.
that
And
leaves
two separate
only
securities.
$220,000
Uh,
number.
Yeah,
Good
right.
bond.
So are you happy with that? If you get together with Mike and you might tweak that a little bit?
maybe not,
Yeah,
Right.
I think he deserves the right to talk to Mike about that
Oh,
and
absolutely.
negotiate that. I know all other people have done that before. Your predecessor in there, Ricky, did it with
Yeah.
that pond and stuff like that.
Right.
He contacted people and we had no problem, so.
I think from an approach point of view, to me, from planning board, option 1, option 2, the numbers add up the same, no matter what, right? So it is what it is. So my question to you is, what works better for you? Having it all rolled into a single bond and get your cash bond released? Or just supplement the existing?
No, I just supplement the existing, it'd be less money that I've gotta come up with. Why take it from here and put it over
Yeah, that-
here?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
to,
more
He just
paperwork, too.
figured he'd be able to give you some options if you
Yeah,
wanted the
and
cash back
Yeah.
now,
He said
or, you know,
a cash
Well, he said
security
he
is
wanted to set the
usually
top of the
higher
mic again, so-
dollar out of your pocket than
Right.
posting a bond. So,
Yeah, well, I haven't talked to the bank yet on that. It'll be either cash or a letter of credit from the bank,
okay,
whatever,
Okay.
whatever they want to do, you know. The only other question I have is selling, so if you tell it, okay, post the bond, you can sell the lots. These people go into building right away. I can't get hot top down. What's the story on a building permit or an occupancy permit?
I'll tell you, my experience is the occupancy, asphalt needs to be down for
For the CO.
the CO.
yeah. I think you can get a building permit without
Get a
pavement.
building permit. You can get a
So-
building permit. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about that.
Okay,
But the CO, in all the ones I've done, the first layer has to be down.
right,
And,
yes,
and then you have to, give the other last wear cost, you gotta give them that money, but
right, right,
Yeah, and you don't want to put that down until after you're done driving all those.
exactly.
yeah,
Tracks
yeah,
on it.
right. The excavator walks across the street or whatever, you know?
Yeah,
Let's be realistic.
okay. No, just looking at the weather and stuff and
It's
this
winter.
COVID thing and the lack of
No pavement for another 3-4 months.
people, working at these hot top plants and stuff, everybody's way behind on everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's gonna happen in the spring. Somebody comes in and
But if
starts
you haven't
building.
sold, there you go.
Right, you're just gonna have to wait, I guess.
Well, let's put it this way, if you sold a lot today, and I would advise
6
someone,
months.
don't dig a cellar hole till it gets better out, this is all gonna be behind you, because you don't have much tweaking to do to get your road done, by the looks of it,
Correct.
and then you just have to take care of your shoulders and
Yep.
get them stabilized and yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, you'll burn through that list pretty darn fast in the spring.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So it has, the hot top has to be down the.
For CO.
Base coat.
Base coat.
Right, to get the seal.
Yeah, and
Okay,
you don't have to give them the town the option to take over the road at that point, because imagine you like me, I want to get in there in March and start to work, and I don't want to see a big orange sign posted on my road that I just paid for, and
Yeah.
I can't drive on it.
okay, no, that pretty much answers my questions.
Okay,
So once I post the bond, then we can start
Yeah.
marketing or
I'll
some of the
move on.
lots.
This is let Mr. Jedry get a hold of Mike Vignali. Tweak these numbers to their liking.
Yep.
Mike will tell you that, yeah, I'm good with this, or no, I'm not.
Mhm.
And then when he leave the two encumbrances, the two deposits you have, or whatever you want to call it, there, and he'll just add to that and he can move on his way.
okay.
That makes sense?
I'll
End of
second
motion.
that.
So what you also need to do is you need to vote, you need to release these covenants. So you
I'll do
need
that in the
to,
next motion. How's that sound?
motion to release the covenants on the
Let's deal with
phase
this one,
two.
and then or do you want me to just add it to it?
And release the covenant.
yeah.
With it,
I-
and release the covenants with the- of lot
Upon,
sales.
yeah, upon that.
I'll second it again.
Okay, seconded twice. Any further discussion on this? Huh?
I am Wendy McHugh. I am John's Realtor and friend. And I might first begin by saying nobody works harder than this guy.
We know that.
Yeah,
Puts us all to shame.
he's only
Oh
39.
my God. I want to
And I
thank
wish.
each and every one of you for your public service. It's important. So thank you for your time. Truly, I was a member of the Pro Heritage Commission for a number of years, and it's important to save the buildings and protect what we have. Jessica, thank you for your patience with me and through all of this, just trying to help my buddy here I have photographs I can share with you. We have beautiful homes up there now.
Yeah.
I have a lovely neighborhood. He's doing it right. You know, he owns the gravel pits, the materials are there. I can tell you the difference between the number 3 and 4 on the gravel. I've learned so much. And truly, I share that, you know, silly enough that just this last article was, you know, we need the housing. You know what I mean? We do need the housing for
Yeah.
the families.
Yep.
And this is just tremendous that.
Oh, I think they'll sell quick.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Yeah, thank you all. Really,
Yeah.
great.
Okay,
So we gotta finish. the
We have to
vote.
vote on
Yeah,
that.
we got to finish the vote and
Yeah, we
don't
don't
thank us
wanna.
yet.
Yeah, no. Again, I
How the
had
votes
just a, you know, I mean, it was just rough just to show kind of the lots and stuff, but we have beautiful homes in that phase 1. I've sent Jessica some pictures, so.
I drove it this weekend
Yeah.
and it is,
I live right
Yeah.
down the street.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, John.
all
I
right.
know it's
So
going there.
we have a motion, we have a second.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Now you can thank us.
Now you can thank us.
You're welcome.
thank you very much.
Can I just get who seconded that?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I
You did?
motioned,
Okay.
Virgil seconded.
Thank you. All right,
We done now?
thanks. Yep.
You are.
Now.
All right, thank you all.
Have a good
All
night.
set to
See you
go
later.
now.
Yep. Sorry for poking the bear.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna ask you if we could go ahead. Good luck with yours as well.
Thank you.
For the work you do.
All right. So next is a review application for consideration, Belinda McLean
Let me ask you
for
this.
planning board alternate.
Well, let me ask you this. We have 2 alternates. And we still have 1 here. Do we need more?
Let's put it this way. We have 1 person retiring. Who else is up? I thought we had 2 slots.
Drew,
Drew's up.
Bob left.
Drew.
You're running
Yeah,
again?
Bob,
I will
Bob
run
left,
again.
so we actually have 3,
no, because you're running, right?
I am.
but
Yes.
there are 3 people that their terms are up. That was they're going. So yours is up, and Bob, we're replacing him.
Right.
Oh,
And
yeah, I forgot
so-
Bob.
So the planning board can have up to 5 alternates.
I know, but that's an awful lot.
It
Yeah.
is.
I mean, you look
So-
at- if you're an alternate
We've
with
had-
so many, you won't see much time
And we've had
to
2.
make decisions.
We've had 2 and, I mean, he's just starting to
Yeah.
sit on the board. At
And
least
these
still
guys-
it.
And these guys could also run for those vacancies,
Yeah.
We could have
So
Any luck?
you know?
What vacancies?
We're gonna have,
Well, 3
well,
Russ's.
Russ's and Bob, those are 2
yeah, if you want to
vacancies.
run for my position,
Have that.
No, Lee can run for that.
As well as Belinda could run.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've done 2 terms.
Can I say
6
something?
years.
I think it would be nice to have a woman here.
We
got
do,
one.
we have Jessica.
I know, but I'm
That lady over
gonna,
there?
well,
she's my guiding light.
Everybody's got
Sleeps
here.
it right.
yeah, I
Well, I
know.
always pay attention to women's opinions because I'm married, so.
Well,
So we, I mean, I think we absolutely should be considering your application. The, you know, couple things to, just to point out, the prior interest in, you know, in the planning board. I know that you were recently an applicant and so I don't know what other history you have with planning boards or this one or others or.
well, from what I've experienced so far, and I've been sitting here for, God, I think of probably about 12 hours through planning board meetings. I just have an interest in learning. I think that this is important. I'm curious.
Okay, one other thing though, for alternate members, we have a 90-day, 30, you have to make 3 successive meetings prior to that. We being appointed as an alternate to make sure that you're really interested. I mean, basically weeds out people, oh yeah, I'd like to do it, and then
And they don't
never like
show
to do
up.
it. So if you show up 3 months in prior to, then we could entertain this thought.
I have.
Well, yeah, it has to be acknowledged and recorded. So
Oh, I
it's-
see.
it's-
Isn't it
yeah.
recorded on that over there?
It is to a degree,
Wow.
but yes, it is. But I mean, for us to recognize you as an alternate.
I have
think
no
that
problem with
the
that.
90 days would
No
most likely
problem.
be in the
Absolutely.
Application and 3
Yeah,
consecutive meetings.
that's good.
Yeah.
I'll just learn more.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. There's
Absolutely.
a lot to learn. There really is a lot to learn.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I've already learned a lot.
And yeah, and you can watch me make mistake after mistake after mistake. And
Well,
I've been doing it for 3 years now and I'm still screwing up. So,
I'd actually eventually like to run for selectman.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
hey,
absolutely.
yeah.
Bless you there.
That's my goal. The more I learn, the better it is.
If you like to live at the town hall, then run for selectman.
I do have some time on my hands considering.
I'm down here 3-4 nights a week.
What do you want me to sit?
Lot of
You want me to
headaches
sit
with that
down? You want me to sit down here with you and help you? I have no problem with that
A lot of
either.
headaches with that office.
Well,
People all the time tell me.
So of course, the
Why I
elephant in the room, Belinda, and I'll come right out and say it is, obviously you have written a correspondence to the board and to and identified individuals and I'm not going to, say one way or the other, right or wrong, whatever, but obviously it is a concern that somebody, all of a sudden strikes up an interest in being an alternate on the board and has filed the gripe. with the
oh,
board.
no. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. And I'd like to actually approach the board about the gripe. Okay, if you don't mind. I would,
Yeah, I tell you that
because
we-
I didn't have the opportunity when it was brought up.
Yeah, and we have, we've consulted with town council and
Yes.
it's in our best interest not to
Discuss it.
discuss
I
this
got you.
publicly.
Yeah,
Um,
very important. Good.
so,
That's a good point.
yeah. But I did want to bring that up, that obviously it raises my eyebrows and like, oh, all of a sudden, an interest here. But I think that, the board, by all means, can discuss this and review this and I would recommend, for tonight, tabling it for further thinking, because I didn't see this until I think it came out yesterday. That it came out in the agenda, so a little time to digest.
Yeah, it's two totally different issues.
Yes, I understand that, but it almost falls under a conflict of interest in many ways.
At this
So,
point, yeah.
Okay.
but I'd like to just, with the board's permission, I'd like to table this until the next meeting. And we'll bring this up and discuss it again at that time.
Fair
But at
enough.
any rate, she needs to know she needs to come to 3,
And I can do that.
Yep.
so she can start that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yep, I sure will.
Yeah, and you just sat through this one, which was one of our longer.
And we
ones.
documented it.
So there's an application, right?
Yes, so we do have an
And
application.
that's been filled out. I didn't see it, so.
So, yeah,
It's actually no part of my gripe.
okay.
Just to let you know.
All right, excellent,
Fair enough.
wonderful. Well, thank you.
Thank you. I
And we
hope you
do,
guys-
we do love the interest. We do. So
Oh,
don't
well, I
get me
am.
wrong, believe me.
That's why we mentioned earlier, the people that came to these other committee meetings, they show the interest they hear now.
Right,
Yeah.
Let's cultivate that.
right.
I'll
I'll just do something else if I don't get involved with that. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For waiting all night.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot.
Learn a lot. It's all good. Thank you.
Correspondence for the board's information? Nothing?
Nope.
Any other business to come before the board?
I just have one comment. So I just wanted to let you know that Bob Regan had received his card. And he thanks you all very much. And that's a very bold underlined
Thank God you
for
did
what you
this.
guys did for him. And he's very appreciated.
And thank God you just did that. I'm supposed to thank all you for my wife's card and gift and stuff.
How was your steak?
Wicked good.
Okay.
Thank you. And I forgot last meeting. She gave me hell. And she made cupcakes bring down this one, but they didn't make it.
You ate them
I
on the
did that
way?
with a carrot cake.
I ate it before I
You
left
ate
the
'em on the
house.
way?
Well, don't feel bad. My wife,
What did you just say?
she made brownies and they didn't make it.
That's all I have.
Do we have public input on non-specific planning issue, non-case specific planning issues. You just stay into the bitter end, aren't you?
Good man.
All right. So with that, I will,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
I move to adjourn.
Second.
and seconded multiple times. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye, aye. Thank you all.
Thank you. Get out the back. As soon as I go outside, it's cold. I'm a struggle.